Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host John, and this is one of my favorite videos to do every single year. Today we're going to count down the top 10 movies that need to come to 4K Blu-ray in 2025, and we'll be talking about a little bit more than 10 films, but I have 10 slots on this list of movies and franchises that need to come to 4K Blu-ray sometime in 2025, and some of these are very surprising that haven't come to 4K Blu-ray. We're talking like all-time classics. Maybe they're wrapped up in rights issues. Maybe the studios have just forgotten about some of these movies. Maybe they're cult films that don't really have the biggest followings. But as a physical media collector, and I know you guys are 4K Blu-ray fans as well, some of our favorite movies coming to 4K Blu-ray is just a huge deal. And some of us have been waiting years for movies to come to 4K Blu-ray. Now, last year I got very spoiled. If you go look at my list that I did in 2024 at the beginning, a lot of those movies did come to 4K Blu-ray, including my number one last year, which was The Terminator. When that came to 4K Blu-ray, you know, I really can't complain anymore. I got my favorite film ever, and it was actually a pretty damn good disc, which, you know, it was risky there. Warner Brothers putting it out, and I was really hoping for Arrow Video to do it, but still, I got pretty spoiled last year, and I cannot complain about movies that haven't come to 4K Blu-ray yet. But I'm still gonna do that on this list, so I'm not gonna waste any more of your time, and let's start it off with number 10.
Whoa! Do I look cool now?
And at number 10, I got a 1980s classic, one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. The first time him and Danny DeVito teamed up, the two of them just have fantastic chemistry, directed by the great Ivan Reitman, and that movie is Twins. And you know what a very simple premise and a very funny premise. Arnold Schwarzenegger got all the good genes. He was only supposed to be one child, and we were going to make the perfect child, and that perfect child was Arnold Schwarzenegger. But what would happen if all the shit got left over? Well, all that shit made Danny DeVito, and the two of them, they're twins. And Julian, he's such a good guy, he wants to go find his brother Vincent, and he's like, we're going to be great together. And even though he looks like that, and he's a piece of shit to everybody, he's like, you know, I'm going to turn him into a good guy, and that's how we end up with this great 1980s film, which does have a Shout Select, I believe, Blu-ray release. So I've been waiting for this movie to come to 4K Blu-ray for a very long time. I thought it would come. I just think people love the movie Twins. There's always been those rumors of triplets coming out with Eddie Murphy. Never happened, and it's probably never gonna happen. It shouldn't happen. Leave the movie alone. Twins is a 1980s classic. Let's just get a 4K Blu-ray upgrade for this movie.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
And at number 9, I have two Quentin Tarantino films, Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight. Here in January of 2025, we are going to be getting Jackie Brown and Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 on 4K Blu-ray for the first time, and we're going to be getting a re-release through Arrow Video of Inglourious Basterds. Quentin Tarantino is my favorite director of all time, and I do believe that those two westerns that he did in the 2010s get forgotten about a lot, and they're both great movies, and at the very least, they're great looking movies. Django Unchained first, and then The Hateful Eight second. The Hateful Eight might end up becoming one of the best looking 4K Blu-rays when we end up getting that movie. It's just shot tremendously. I remember when the movie was coming out, you could go watch this one on film. That's a big thing with Quentin Tarantino. He films his movie on film. He owns the New Beverly in Los Angeles, so of course, he loves to screen his movies on film. And The Hateful Eight would just lend itself so good to the 4K Blu-ray format. This and Django Unchained, they feel like those old spaghetti westerns. Clearly, that's what Tarantino's paying homage to. And the fact that we're getting two Kill Bill movies definitely opens the door to us finally getting The Hateful Eight and Django Unchained, because we only need those two movies. And then, of course, Death Proof on 4K Blu-ray, which, you know, Death Proof's my least favorite Tarantino movie, but if that comes to 4K Blu-ray along with Planet Terror and we get the entire Grindhouse release, I'll be happy with that. But really, I want Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight. And at number 8, now this one's rumored to be coming, but, you know, if it's not confirmed yet, it ends up on the list because rumors are rumors and facts are facts. And right now, even though it's shown up on the list of movies that should be coming to 4K Blu-ray in 2025, I have the Friday franchise. And I don't just mean the original Friday, which is an all-time comedy classic. I also want Next Friday, and I want Friday After Next, which never even came to Blu-ray. Friday After Next is a great alternate Christmas movie. I mean, I quote Next Friday and Friday After Next just as much as I quote the original Friday movie, which obviously is the best of them, but still. all three of them. I want a nice collector's edition of all three Friday films, but if I can only get one, I still just want the original Friday movie. I mean, I have the Friday movie poster on my wall. I have Friday, Scream, and Pulp Fiction. Those are the only three movie posters that I have on my living room wall. Here in the office, you know, you got Batman 89 and The Terminator, some of my favorites. But movies that me and my wife absolutely love, the Friday franchise is one that just has to come to 4K Blu-ray. Don't let those movies get forgotten about. They're classics.
The French Connection.
And at number 7, now this has been a rumor for a little while, and I hope it's true, and that's The French Connection from 1972, I believe, directed by William Friedkin, starring Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle, one of the first anti-heroes in film history. This was also taking a new filming style, you know, getting away from the glitz and glamour of the code, and this becomes a downright dirty and gritty New York film. Feels very realistic, especially for the early 1970s. It's very well written, and it's just a fantastic film overall. So why hasn't this come to 4K Blu-ray yet? Well, I believe this one is wrapped up in Disney rights, and they actually even released a streaming version of this where they cut out, I believe, 6 seconds of dialogue. Yes, offensive dialogue, but think about the movie itself. Think about the time when it came out, and think about the character who says it. Makes sense in the film, so, you know, censoring that doesn't make sense because now it's kind of out of context, the film. So hopefully when we do get this movie on 4K Blu-ray, it is the uncut version, the real version, because we got to stop playing around with all these movies. They just did this, I believe, with It's a Wonderful Life on Amazon Prime because they don't want people to feel too down. Well, you're kind of changing art. You got to stop doing things like that. Art is art. You can't erase history, and the French Connection needs to come to 4K Blu-ray. And at number 6, I have Rushmore, but I also think we should get the other Wes Anderson movies on 4K Blu-ray because Wes Anderson has some of the best looking movies you'll ever see. You know, he creates that dollhouse look. Really, he started to do that like in the Royal Tenenbaums, but his first two movies, Bottle Rocket, and my favorite, and the one I want on 4K Blu-ray more than any of them, is Rushmore from 1998. You know, he was kind of creating his style there. And then once we got the Royal Tenenbaums and the Grand Budapest Hotel, which will look fantastic on 4K Blu-ray when we end up getting that because the Criterion Blu-ray is beautiful. And most of his movies have been released through the Criterion Collection, except for his last two films. Those haven't come to 4K. Those haven't come out through the Criterion Collection. And I believe his last one only has, actually, I think his last two films also only have Blu-ray releases. And Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs also didn't get a Criterion release. So most of his movies are in the Criterion Collection, but most of his movies are also on Blu-ray. In fact, I believe all of them are on Blu-ray, so those movies, because they're so good looking, would look great on 4K Blu-ray. And let's at least get one Wes Anderson movie on 4K Blu-ray in 2025, and I hope that it's Rushmore, because that's just my favorite of his films. And at number 5, and I know a lot of people probably want Edward Scissorhands when it comes to Tim Burton movies on 4K Blu-ray that haven't come yet, or Ed Wood, which is also one of my favorite Tim Burton movies, but Mars Attacks from 1996, this movie's just gotten so forgotten about. You know, the Blu-ray itself is really not good, but this is one of the most underrated films of the 1990s. This one just kind of got forgotten about because it came out the same year as Independence Day. And I just think that people are like, if I'm going to see one alien invasion movie this year, I'm seeing Independence Day, which definitely has the better effects, and it's probably the better movie overall. But I personally absolutely love Mars Attacks. You know, this is paying homage to like the 1950s alien invasion movies. Look at even how the aliens look. They're silly, they're stupid. It's a very funny movie with a great ensemble cast that features big actors of the time. Michael J. Fox pops up in this. 1 year after GoldenEye, you even get Pierce Brosnan in this, Sarah Jessica Parker. So many big stars. Jack Nicholson plays 2 roles in this movie, including the president. And this would look fantastic on 4K Blu-ray. A lot of it takes place in Vegas, so it would be a very colorful movie, and I think it would translate so well to the 4K Blu-ray format. So let's at least get Mars Attacks, and I wouldn't complain if we got Edward Scissorhands on 4K Blu-ray as well. And then at number 4, I have the entire 007 James Bond franchise. Now, there's rumors that we're going to be getting the Sean Connery movies on 4K Blu-ray this year, which means they might be taking their time, and that means like next year we might get the Roger Moore ones. You know, George Lazenby, they'll have to fit in there somewhere because he's just got one movie. Same thing with Timothy Dalton, he's only got 2, and then the Pierce Brosnan collection. And we've already gotten all of the Daniel Craig movies on 4K Blu-ray, so I don't know how they would do that. And actually, right now, my Bond Blu-rays are all separated into the actors themselves, and I really like it. I think they look really uniform. I'm looking up at them right now, but I would love a nice, big, complete collection with all the movies on 4K Blu-ray with some great packaging, because I felt like that complete Blu-ray that they put out a few years ago, the packaging just didn't blow me away. I don't like when they cram all the discs in the one container. That's why I really like what they did with the individual actors, putting them in this beautiful packaging where everything's kind of laid out a lot neater than how they did with the big set. Now, I'm just hoping we get an entire 4K Blu-ray set for the Bond franchise because, yes, the James Bond franchise, it's probably the biggest franchise of all time. I mean, this has been going on since the 1960s. So it coming to 4K Blu-ray would just be a huge deal. And some of those Blu-rays really do need upgrades. So let's keep our fingers crossed that this is finally the year. Even if we just get the Sean Connery ones on 4K Blu-ray, let's just hope that there's plans to bring them all to us at some point. And if it's not 2025, sometime in the next couple of years.
I've abandoned my child!
And at number 3, I have 2 Paul Thomas Anderson movies. We talked about how Punch Drunk Love and Hard 8 are going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray solo in 2025. But where are Paul Thomas Anderson's best movies? 1998's Boogie Nights and 2007's There Will Be Blood. Now, both have had rumors come out about them coming to 4K Blu-ray every now and again, just because it's very easy to say, hey, I heard this is coming to 4K Blu-ray, and it not be true just because people are going to get so excited for it. We just got No Country for Old Men last year. That was filmed at the exact same time, was released at the same time as There Will Be Blood, and No Country for Old Men was the best 4K Blu-ray of 2024. So There Will Be Blood could lend itself to being one of the best looking 4K Blu-rays in 2025. But I really want Boogie Nights. I don't know how we haven't gotten Boogie Nights yet. I still feel like that movie is extremely popular. It's still one of the most memorable movies of the 1990s. How that hasn't come to 4K Blu-ray yet blows my mind. There Will Be Blood, I understand a little bit. That's more popular amongst like cinephiles, but even people who aren't cinephiles, they know what Boogie Nights is. They know who Dirk Diggler is. Like my old boss hates movies, but he remembers Dirk Diggler, so for some reason he remembers that movie. And that's the thing. How does a movie like that does have crossover popularity hasn't come to 4K Blu-ray yet? Paul Thomas Anderson in general, I feel like his movies just kind of trickle out on 4K. Maybe he's not a big physical media guy, but we really need at least Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood. I'll take Magnolia too. I definitely won't complain about Magnolia, but if I had to pick just one, give us Boogie Nights on 4K Blu-ray. And then at number 2, another one that's been rumored to be coming to 4K Blu-ray, and I think it's just the first movie, but I want all 4 of them. I want the entire Lethal Weapon franchise on 4K Blu-ray. I have this old Blu-ray set, and I just absolutely hate the packaging on it. The original Lethal Weapon is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. Number 2 is a pretty damn good movie as well. 3 I still love, and even though 4 might not be the best and it's definitely the weakest, I still really enjoy that movie. I rewatch the entire franchise at least once a year, and then of course I still will watch Lethal Weapon like 2 or 3 times a year just because that's one of my go-to feel-good movies. I think Mel Gibson and Danny Glover had fantastic chemistry. This is the perfect buddy cop movie, a perfect example of what a good buddy cop movie can be, and it's just one of the best 1980s movies. And this is one I'm surprised again hasn't come to 4K Blu-ray. Kind of feels like people have forgot about how good these movies were. Maybe it's just because I grew up with my mom and I watched these movies all the time and I just kind of put them on a pedestal, and maybe they weren't as popular as I remember, but still, I feel like the Lethal Weapon franchise is extremely popular and it deserves a complete 4K Blu-ray collection. It deserves the works. So that's why I want this one on 4K Blu-ray.
Sounds broken.
Most likely, sir. I'll bet it was something nice, though.
That's the guy.
Hello!
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
And then at number 1, it makes the list every single year, and that's the Jim Carrey 1994 4K Blu-rays. Jim Carrey had the greatest year in film history, I think, for an actor. He had all 3 of his movies go to number 1, and before this, he was just really the guy on In Living Color and Earth Girls Are Easy. You know, Once Bitten, he popped up every now and again, but nobody ever took him too seriously. And then in February of 1994, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective came out and shot him up to superstardom. Then in the summer, The Mask came out, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time with a fantastic score, would translate so well to 4K Blu-ray came out. And then in December, the best of them, my personal favorite, Dumb and Dumber. This one has been stuck on Blu-ray with the director's cut, which is a much worse version, very similar to Friday, much worse version than the theatrical cut of the movie, and you have no choice. You can't pick between the theatrical and the director's cut. You grab that Blu-ray, you're getting stuck with the fucking director's cut, which is just not that good, and we really need the regular theatrical cut on 4K Blu-ray, or give us options, like Amadeus, another one where the director's cut was stuck on Blu-ray. Amadeus is coming out with the theatrical cut. They know people like that cut because they put it right on the box. But, you know, you can put out a great collection that's just called Jim Carrey in 1994. Jim Carrey, the 94 collection. You have Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber in one big set. You know, you can throw in When Nature Calls that came out 1 year later in there as well, and I won't complain. But still, there's money lying on the table here, guys. I'm pretty sure all three of these movies are also all made by New Line Cinema, so Warner Brothers should own all three properties. And come on. Call me up. I'll help you guys out with this one. I want these movies on 4K Blu-ray so bad. Jim Carrey is my favorite childhood actor. He was my first favorite actor. I was obsessed with the guy in the 1990s, and I've always loved these movies. I always cherish these movies. They're special films, and I definitely think they deserve a 4K Blu-ray release sometime in 2025. But guys, before we get out of here today, there are some honorable mentions, a couple of classics that I'm just really surprised haven't come to 4K Blu-ray yet. I don't necessarily love all these. I do love this one, though. White Heat, starring James Cagney. Somehow that movie hasn't come to 4K Blu-ray yet. But two movies that are just hugely popular in the 1930s and 1950s are Gone with the Wind, one of the most popular movies of all time. Actually, that's my biggest blank spot. Still haven't seen Gone with the Wind. I'm waiting for the 4K Blu-ray to finally check that movie out. I would say that's the #1 movie that I have to see that I haven't seen. I mean, it's an all-time classic from what I understand. Ben-Hur, that's another huge movie right at the top of when Charlton Heston and all these Sword and Sandal movies were coming out. I actually just watched the 10 Commandments 4K Blu-ray. My God, what a beautiful 4K Blu-ray. But those epics of the time, they all look so great, and they translate so well to 4K Blu-ray format. You know Ben-Hur would look amazing on 4K Blu-ray. And so would Gone with the Wind. So those classics, I just can't believe they haven't come to 4K Blu-ray yet. They're not necessarily movies that I'm going to go out of my way and buy day one. Probably Ben-Hur, and if White Heat ever comes, that's a day one. But, you know, Gone with the Wind, it's a blank spot for me. I have to check it out. I just can't believe those movies haven't come to 4K Blu-ray yet. Hey guys, just popping in at the end of the video for this week's digital code giveaway. In every single video that I do on Friday, I ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those in the comment section. As long as you do that, you come back to Tuesday's video where I'll put your name on a magic wheel. I'll spin that bad boy 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice. The digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And we just got done talking about our most anticipated, movies we hope come to 4K Blu-ray in 2025. And I want to know from you guys, what is your most anticipated movie on 4K Blu-ray in 2025? And just what is your most anticipated film to be coming out in 2025? Leave those answers in the comment section below. And then while you're down there, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We have channel memberships, guys, so if you want to help support the channel a little bit financially, we have a friend of the channel tier, a producer's tier, where you're going to actually find John Doe Juggalo. And then we also have a director's tier, where you'll find Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, and Mr. Smelly Potato. All our channel directors get their own choice review each and every single month. You also get access to the videos a little bit earlier, but don't worry about it, guys. If you got no money to throw away, I don't mind at all. I just hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.